All right, and now it's time for the main event of the evening for the vacant UFC heavyweight championship. You have the return of the former UFC light heavyweight champion, the former reigning defending UFC light heavyweight champion at 26-1 with his only loss coming via a questionable DQ to Matt Hamill due to a 12-6 elbow, in who many people believe to be the greatest of all time, in Jon Bones Jones, going up against a man who doesn't have so much experience in professional MMA, but is still unbelievably successful and technical, in the former professional kickboxer in Ciryl Gamin, who comes into the fight with a record of 11 victories and 1 defeat. The number 1 ranked heavyweight in Ciryl Gane going up against the returning former UFC light heavyweight champion in his first fight at heavyweight, and he's trying to claim heavyweight gold in his first fight, which could cement his legacy as the greatest mixed martial arts fighter to ever grace planet Earth. Jones versus Gane. The breakdown starts right now. All right, let's do this, man. Jon Jones versus Ciryl Gane. Man, this is a very intriguing matchup, and I'm going to say this right now. Love me or hate me, this is a tougher fight for Jon Jones than Francis Ngannou. This is Jon Jones' toughest fight in the heavyweight division that he could possibly have, and it's his first fight in the heavyweight division inside the UFC. 26-1, 11-1, combined record of 37 victories and 2 defeats. Many people believe Jon Jones is 27-0. The DQ loss shouldn't have happened, but it happened anyway. So it's 27-0, 26-1, whatever you want to say. You know you have the right to your own opinion. When you look at the stats, Jon Jones is going to be 6'4", Ciryl Gane same height at 6'4". Reach, 84.5-inch reach for Jon Jones. It was a huge reach advantage at light heavyweight, and it's going to continue to be a reach advantage of 3.5 inches for Jones up in the heavyweight division. 81-inch reach for Gamin, Ciryl Gane. 84.5-inch reach for Jones. When it comes to leg reach, he's also going to have a 3-inch leg reach advantage, which combines for an overall reach advantage of 6.5 inches between the lower and upper extremities, with a 45-inch leg reach to a 42-inch leg reach for the challenger. Well, I guess it's not even the champion of the challenger, but for the number 1 ranked heavyweight in Ciryl Gane. Gane is coming off of that coming off of that 3rd round TKO victory over Tai Tuivasa at UFC Paris in the main event. Unbelievable fight back and forth. Gane looked unbelievably technical. He even got caught with an overhand right from Tai Tuivasa and dropped, almost finished, got dropped again, but he was able to work his way back up and land that left kick to the body over and over again. The left high kick, switching it up with the front leg crescent kick, the crescent kick to the body, the front kicks to the body, right hook, left body kick, constantly getting the outside foot on the orthodox fighter in Tai Tuivasa. Jon Jones, an orthodox fighter, but sometimes he'll switch his stances from orthodox to southpaw. I feel like he's a tricky switch stance fighter, but a lot of his big weapons end up coming from the orthodox stance, but sometimes he'll switch to southpaw with the right elbow, changing it in from the rear to the front side. He'll throw that right leg with a front leg stomp to the knee. He'll switch stance, front leg stomp to the knee, switch stance for a side kick to the body. Sometimes he'll throw a spinning back kick to the body and switch stance off the back kicks. He does switch his stance, but it's just for short periods of time off whatever attack he just threw at his opponent. So this is a very interesting fight, and it's something that I could see the fight going either way. I'm going to be honest. I know a lot of people are going to side with Ciryl Gane because Jon Jones has been gone for over 3 years. The last time we saw Jon Jones was, it was at UFC 247 in the razor-thin title defense against Dominic the Devastator Reyes. What was the exact date on that? It was February 2020, right? Yeah, February 8th, 2020. So when he comes back and on March 4th, it will be over 3 years since we've seen Jon Jones inside the octagon. He took time off, contractual disagreements, was going to come back at light heavyweight, then worked for years to build himself up to the heavyweight division, to bulk up, was going to come back against Stipe for the heavyweight title, didn't happen. Was going to come back against Francis for the heavyweight title, didn't happen. Now we find out a lot of the Francis Ngannou negotiation problems were more on the side of the champion in Ngannou than they were on the side of Jon Jones. Now, what do I think is the more exciting fight overall? Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou. What do I think is going to be the biggest fight he possibly could have in his UFC heavyweight career? It would be Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou. But what do I think is the most challenging, intriguing, and technical fight and most interesting chess match that Jon Jones could have, and the most difficult fight he could have in the heavyweight division on all levels of the game? It's this fight right here against Ciryl Gane. This is the most well-rounded heavyweight. This is the most elusive, defensive, fleet-footed, the fastest heavyweight on the feet, the fastest heavyweight with in and out movement, darting in, lateral movement, cutting angles, and the technical striking. This is a full package in terms of the game on the feet for Ciryl Gamin Gane, for Jon Jones' heavyweight opponent in his heavyweight debut inside the UFC. Jon Jones, 26 wins, 1 loss. The loss was a DQ, but he's got 16 finishes in his career, 10 wins by way of decision. So 16 out of 26 wins come by way of finish, 10 KO TKOs and 6 submissions. Prior to the fight against Dominic Reyes, where he had a razor-thin unanimous, it wasn't unanimous, but in my opinion, I think Dominic Reyes beat Jon Jones. And I'm not the only one. A lot of people seem to agree on that front, that they think Dominic Reyes did enough to defeat Jon Jones. Thiago Santos, that was a split decision for Jon Jones. Thiago Santos goes tooth and nail with Jon Jones, a fight where I think Thiago Santos could have got the decision. It was obviously a split decision, but he tore apart both of his knees. I mean, he was basically fighting on no legs and still had a competitive fight against Jon Jones. The Dominic Reyes and Thiago Santos fight really leaves a sour taste in the mouth of MMA fans because they were both very competitive, extremely close. Jon Jones ekes out a decision on each of these fights, and then we haven't seen him since. But you look at Dominic Reyes and Thiago Santos since the fights to Jon Jones, neither of them have won a fight since then. I don't believe, right? Thiago Santos hasn't won a fight since Jon Jones. Am I wrong? Oh, I'm sorry. He won 1 fight. He won a unanimous decision over Johnny Walker. But since the Jon Jones fight, Thiago Santos has gone 1-4 in his last 5, with losses to Jamal Hill, Magomed Ankalaev, Alexander Rakic, and Glover Teixeira. Now you go and you look at Dominic Reyes. He currently, since the Jon Jones fight, has been on a 4-fight losing streak. Am I correct? Is it 4 or 3? Let's see. Dominic Reyes, 12-4 in professional MMA, 3 losses by KO, TKO, 1 by decision. But he's gone 0-3 since the Jon Jones fight. Losses to Jan Blachowicz via TKO, spinning back elbow knockout to Yuri Prohaska, and then a knockout in the first round, 1 minute and 20 seconds in, against Ryan Superman Spann. So, comparing both fighters, you have Dominic Reyes, who's gone 0-3 since the very competitive, some people believe win, but a loss to Jon Jones. And then you have Thiago Santos, who's gone 1-3 since the loss to Jon Jones. And even though he had an incredibly competitive fight against Jon Jones, basically having both of his knees torn apart. But 1-4. So 1-4 and then 0-3. So a combined win rate of 1 victory and 7 losses between 2 of Jon Jones' most competitive fights since he left and hasn't been back since before the COVID pandemic. So he had 2 wins, split decision to Thiago Santos, very close. Many people believe Santos could have won. Then the unanimous decision win over Dominic Reyes, where a lot of people believe Dominic Reyes won that fight. Dominic Reyes hasn't won a fight since. Thiago Santos got a decision win over Johnny Walker, but a combined record of 1-7 for 2 of Jon Jones' most competitive fights in his entire career, in fights where fans believe he arguably could have lost, just like the first fight against Alexander Gustafsson at UFC 165. When you look at Ciryl Gane, I mean, he had that back and forth fight with Tai Tuivasa. He had the decision loss to Francis Ngannou, but on the feet, Gane was outstriking him for the most part. If there was no takedowns or wrestling from Francis Ngannou in that fight, then Ciryl Gane would have won the decision. I went back and watched it, and it was a lot more competitive than people think. They see the wrestling, the takedowns the top pressure of Francis Ngannou, which won him the last 2 rounds convincingly and then got him another round out of the first 3. But the striking on the feet was pretty much all Gane, in my opinion. Gane was out striking. He was moving. He was too fast, too fleet-footed for the big power puncher in Francis Ngannou. And if you're able to evade and avoid the heavy power punches and the literal one-punch knockout power from Francis Ngannou, where one punch can put anybody into outer space, including Jon Jones if he fought Jon Jones, him being able to avoid that is a big feather in the cap of Ciryl Gane, outstriking a man who, yes, isn't the most technical striker, but being able to avoid something that almost nobody else in Francis Ngannou's career has been able to avoid, aside from Stipe Miocic and Derek Lewis in a lackluster fight at UFC 226. You got to give the devil his due. And Ciryl Gane is very good defensively. He's very elusive, very good movement, lateral movement, in and out movement, front kicks to the body, crescent kicks up top to the head, crescent kicks to the body, side kicks, 1-2s down the middle, stepping off on the rear side to get the rear side angle to land the straight left hand, the right hook, the jab into the right hook into the left body kick, the front kick to the face, throws a left high kick with literally no wind up to the point where it almost is as fast as a straight left hand, just bing right up top, no wind up. And the thing that makes Gane's kick so effective is he doesn't throw them like a traditional Thai style. He throws them more like an upward trajectory. He doesn't turn the knee over, turn the hip over and slam it in, or turn it over and swing it like a baseball bat. He swings it up like he's digging into your body with a knife. He's kind of stabbing you in the body, whether it's a front kick, but his round kicks come up from a upward trajectory, not a lateral trajectory like a round kick to the body. So he kind of kicks upwards, which can also hide the crescent kicks to the body, the crescent kicks to the face, and the roundhouse kicks up top to the head. The head kicks, the body kicks, whether it's front kicks, crescent kicks, or anything in between, they all kind of come with the same path of trajectory. He doesn't throw traditional Thai style kicks where you turn the knee over and you kind of telegraph it and you turn the hip over. No, they're all kind of upwards. They're fast. They're just yep, 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 yep. You see some Thai style fighters fight that way, but it's not a traditional Muay Thai style of kick, which makes it harder to read, harder to see, and in turn quicker and harder to defend. Throwing a kick like that with an upward trajectory instead of turning the hip over makes it harder for the opponent to read it and counter it. That is something that is going to be of utmost importance against Jon Jones, because the less he can read the kicks, the quicker, the faster the strikes are, the more smoke screens you put in front of those strikes, the harder it's going to be for Jones to be able to read them, and in 1, manage the distance, and in 2, close that distance to set up his grappling game, the clinch game, the elbows over the top in the clinch, the uppercuts in the clinch, the upward elbows. Jon Jones has vicious clinch work, and if he gets Ciryl Gane in the clinch, it's going to be a problem. I know Gane has professional kickboxing experience, but inside the clinch is going to be a problem for Gane against Jon Jones. Being pushed up against the cage, being put in the clinch, being put in the over-under position, kind of like Jeff Neal against Rakhmonov, that's not where Gane wants to be. Gane wants to keep it at kicking range, just outside of kicking range, or just inside of kicking range. You don't want to be, he can even fight Jones in boxing range, but you don't want to be in clinch range or up against the cage. You want to be in boxing range, just outside of boxing range, in that mid-range, or in kick range. So boxing range, mid-range, kick range, not in clinch range. That's not where you want to be, because Jones will tie you up. He's bigger, he's stronger at heavyweight, over the top with the elbows, uppercuts, shots to the body, knees up top to the head, over the top elbows, upward elbows, back elbows. They're going to be coming at Ciryl Gane from Jon Jones. I mean, look at the elbow performance he put on against Glover Teixeira. The clinch work in that fight was unbelievable. Go back and check that out. But you got to take into consideration, man, Jon Jones is fighting a southpaw in Gane. The man who arguably defeated Jon Jones was a southpaw in Dominic Reyes. A technical southpaw who had good movement, good evasiveness, good counter ability. If Dominic Reyes had all that, Ciryl Gane is that 1,000 times over. Good lateral movement, good defensive awareness, good defense, good counters. He throws his shots sometimes on awkward angles where they don't come straight ahead. They don't come right up the middle. They come at kind of a diagonal, like he landed against Tai Tuivasa before he dropped him. He stepped off on an angle, avoided the big shot, and boom, came right back in with a counter. Kind of like a pull counter, but he threw from a diagonal angle more than a straight angle. And boom, caught Tai Tuivasa right on the chin. He can step back and throw counter strikes off the back foot. He can step back, throw counter strikes coming in, step back, throw counter strikes on awkward angles. The awkward angles against the guy in Jones who uses that long reach and range and keeps that long frame, the lead hand frame, to control the distance, which leads to a lot of the eye pokes that Jones has gotten in his career and a lot of the flack that Jon Jones gets for the eye pokes. He's going to be using that lead hand frame. But what Gane is going to want to do is make sure when he sets up those kicks, he uses a lot of feints. Feint the hand, feint the jab, right low kick, or left low kick. Feint the jab, feint the hook, left low kick. Feint the jab, feint the kick, left low kick, left body kick. Feint the cross, left body kick. Feint the cross, feint the hook, feint the jab, bop, bop, left body kick. Feint the kick to close the distance, step off on the angle. Feint the kick, feint the rear kick with the knee, move it forward, step to the outside of the lead foot of Jones, right hook, left body kick. Feint the kick, jab, feint the kick, step to the outside angle, left body kick, feint the body kick, boom, upward crescent kick, or coming from the inside with the crescent kick like Anderson Silva. I did see Jon Jones sparring footage against Walt Harris, and in that footage, he was able to step inside, catch the kick, and then sweep Walt Harris by stepping around to the outside of the back leg and pushing forward, or pushing back and then stepping to the outside of the back leg for a trip. You saw that recently in the fight with Alexander Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev, where he was able to step to the inside, close the distance, and land that sweep, the backside trip. That's kind of what Jon Jones did in the sparring footage against Walt Harris, but I believe he caught a kick first and then stepped in and landed that. Do you know why he's doing that in this training? Because of the crescent kicks that Ciryl Gane throws. Because of and a crescent kick, for anybody who doesn't know, if a front kick comes up where you lift the knee up and you poke or stab the front kick into the breadbasket or the body, a crescent kick is going to come around like a round kick, but from the inside. So it's going to almost look like an inside low kick, and then you're going to turn it around at the end and come around like a crescent moon and slap the opponent in the face with the outside of your foot or your heel. So it's going to come in and then come back around. You can see Anderson Silva landed a couple times, or at least attempt it in his career. He did it against Chris Weidman in the first fight before he got knocked out. You go to the inside like you're throwing a low kick, and then you sweep it back around and land with the outside of your foot. It's kind of like a question mark kick if you throw that with the, like a round kick, but it's kind of like a reverse question mark kick is what I like to call a crescent kick. Coming to the inside and then boom, slapping him right across the face. He's looking to counter that by stepping to the outside of the back leg and then tripping that back leg with the backside trips. That's exactly why he uses that, because Gane is very good at disguising the teeps, the front stabbing kicks to the body, and the crescent kicks, which then can make the opponent so hesitant that he can go up top to the head with the non-telegraphed head kicks. So that's exactly why you saw Jones work that in the training footage and the sparring footage against Walt Harris, in my opinion. You don't have to believe me, but that's what I think. I think he was working that because he's expecting the crescent kicks to the body and the head from Ciryl Gane, who's so, ambidextrous and has so much dexterity with his striking game. Look, man, if Gane gets taken down, he's in a world of trouble. He's going to get out grappled. If Jones can get those takedowns early, get those takedowns often, he's going to out wrestle him. He's going to ground and pound him, and he's probably going to submit him. I 100% believe that Jon Jones is much better on the ground. And if Francis Ngannou can take you down and out grapple you and out wrestle you, then Jon Jones can as well. Even though Francis is stronger than Jon Jones, Jon Jones is a better wrestler than Francis, so he should be able to get those takedowns. But I feel like all Gane has been working on since the fight with Francis Ngannou is his takedown defense, is his management of range, is his work circling off the cage if he gets backed up in a straight line, his left and right lateral movement, feinting one way and circling the other way, circling off the cage, staying in the center, using fakes and feints. The only time he got caught against Tai Tuivasa was close to the cage as well when he was backing up. So, you don't want to have Jon Jones backing you up when you're close to the cage. You can back up in the center of the cage or right outside the first black line. But once you pass the second black line in the cage, you're closer, or in the octagon, you're closer to the cage. That's where Gane will have to move left or right, and he can't back straight up, because if you back straight up to the cage, Jones will enter with an elbow or enter with a straight punch, feint it, and then work for the doubles, work for the singles, and etc., etc. But with Jon being up at heavyweight, this being his first fight back in 3 years, a completely different frame. I mean, he's huge for heavyweight, but he doesn't look extremely jacked. He looks like he has a little bit of extra fat on him. I think Jones' cardio isn't going to hold up for 5 rounds. I think he'll be very strong in the first 2.5. But I think in the second part of that 3rd round, the 4th and the 5th, that's where Jones' cardio is going to fail him in this fight. I believe it. I don't think that we're going to see Jones come back and be this world beater in the heavyweight division. I don't think that at all. And I think that that's something that people have to take into consideration. Number 1, the layoff. Number 2, building up to a bigger frame for the heavyweight division. And yes, I know he did it scientifically. I know he did it and took years to build it up. But it doesn't mean he's fought under the lights against a high-level heavyweight, one of the highest-level heavyweights in the game, one of the most technical heavyweights in the game, like Ciryl Gane. It's a different game. It's a different beast. And Gamin is a different beast that Bones has never gone up against. This is the most technical fighter that Jon Jones has ever faced. Now, on the same side, I feel like this is the most technical striker that Gane has faced in MMA, but he also has the pro kickboxing experience, which you have to take into consideration when breaking down this fight. And man, it's tough because let's look at the grappling of this fight. You got 1.85 takedowns per 15-minute fight for Jon Jones with a 44% takedown accuracy, but Gane only has a 55% takedown defense. So the takedowns, the wrestling, pushing him up against the cage, inside and outside trips, ground and pound from inside the guard, passing into the crucifix position, the side control, looking to take the back of Gane. That's where Jon Jones is going to excel in this fight. And if he gets on top of Gane and has enough time to work with the top position, he can get Gane out of there. And even if he can't get him out of there, if he can go to the well with those takedowns, the inside and outside trips, the body lock takedowns over and over in the Greco-Roman that Jones has showcased throughout his career, then it's going to be a big problem for Gane. But I think it's going to be very hard for Jones to find Gane in the cage. He's going to be slower, and Gane is one of the fastest and most elusive heavyweights and most defensively aware and responsible heavyweights that have ever graced the game of mixed martial arts, only having 12 fights in professional mixed martial arts. I think Gane is going to piece up Jon Jones on the feet. I think Jon Jones is going to be sluggish and slow in the late parts of that 3rd round. After the midway point of the 3rd, in the 4th and the 5th, I think the speed of Gane, the speed of his jabs, the speed of his punches, the non-telegraph kicks are going to be a lot for Jon Jones to take into consideration. And let me tell you something right now. If Dominic Reyes, as a southpaw, which Gane is as well, was able to piece up Jon Jones, counter him, and land so many shots against Jon Jones in that fight. I know it was before COVID. I know it was 3 years ago. But let me tell you, if Ciryl Gane does that to Jon Jones, if Dominic Reyes had that much success against Jon Jones, Ciryl Gane's going to beat his ass on the feet. He is the much more technical striker. He is the much faster striker. He is the much more elusive striker on the feet, and we're going to see that showcased on Fight Night. When it comes to a prediction, oh my God, drum roll please. I'm going with the number 1 ranked Ciryl Gamin Gane to defeat Jon Bones Jones in his return bout to the UFC via a 48-47 unanimous decision. I could even see it being a 49-46, but I'm going with the number 1 ranked Ciryl Gane to defeat Jon Jones, handing him his first legitimate loss in professional mixed martial arts. When you look at the betting side of this fight, I think that Gane on the money line is a good bet. I think the over 4.5 rounds is a decent bet, but it's a little risky. But the best bet in terms of value for this fight is if you take Ciryl Gane to win via decision, which is currently at, I believe, a plus 330 on DraftKings. Let's see. Ciryl Gane to win by decision is plus 330. For best value, if you're on the Gane side, you take Gane to win by decision at plus 330. If you think Gane has the ability to knock out Jon Jones and catch him and put him out, then what you do is take Gane to win by KO, TKO, or decision at plus 145. So you either do the double method of victory with KO, TKO, DQ, or decision at plus 145, or Gane to win by decision at plus 330. I think, honestly, you shouldn't bet this fight at all. I think you play the other fights on the card, play the undercard, play the early fights on the main card, and stay away from this fight in terms of a betting perspective. I would stay away from it completely. I don't like the bet, but if I'm going to give you a good bet, I think Gane wins this fight, and I don't think he finishes Jones. but either Gane by KO, TKO, or decision at plus 145, or Gane to win by decision at a plus 330. But my pick is Ciryl Gamin Gane to cement himself as one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time by beating who many people believe to be the greatest mixed martial artist of all time in Jon Bones Jones via 48-47 unanimous decision.